Hi, I'm Brick Road. Hope you're ready for some more of that sweet, sweet tier list content. Today I am rating all of the items in Super Metroid. I don't mean like each item you pick up, like, oh, is the Morph Ball better than the Spring Jump? No, I mean every single individual item in the game. We're going to be rating every missile pack, every energy tank, and all of the beams and all of the everything. 100 items. Super Metroid is one of the rare games where 100% actually does mean 100%. So, the way this is going to work is items are going to be rated based on their usefulness and also their accessibility, because items that are kind of a pain in the neck to pick up are going to be rated lower than items that are relatively easy to find and also relatively useful. And the first item you find in the game is the Morph Ball. The Morph Ball is an S tier item. Obviously, you can't finish the game without it. It's going to be the first item you pick up. And also, thematically, I really love in Super Metroid where you pick up the Morphing Ball and it kind of turns on the eyeballs. Like, oh, they know Samus is here now. And they scan for you and then the space pirates come in. It's really effective storytelling in video games when they do things like that. And the Morph Ball is a great example of that happening. And then the next item you pick up are your first missiles. These are the first missiles in Brinstar, just to the right of the Morph Ball, and these are also obviously an S tier item. You cannot complete the game without missiles. You immediately need missiles to open red doors, so obviously these 5 missiles are going to be very, very important, but as we'll go, we'll see that missiles become more and more devalued as time goes on. For example, this second missile pack, which is, again, as you're being scanned in Brinstar, I'm going to put this one at an A instead of an S. Reason being that it's really nice to have 10 missiles this early in the game, and this missile pack is right there, ready to be taken. These 3 items right in a row. You collect all of these before you actually find your first proper opposition on planet Zebus. So, however, it is a little out of your way. You've got to go through an extra room. Not hard to get, and having 10 missiles versus 5 is only really an issue if you're using missiles offensively this early in the game. Still a really good pickup, but obviously if you're going for a really low time in the game, you'll probably skip these. After that, you'll travel back up to Criteria, and your next pickup will be the bombs. And the bombs, obviously, another S-tier item. In fact, I'm going to put them ahead of missiles because you use bombs in practically every single room in the game. The bombs are also guarded by your first sub-boss, and anything guarded by a sub-boss should be worth picking up, right? There are a couple other items you can get in the game at this point, but this is just going to be in the order I happen to pick them up in this playthrough. So they'll be a little unorthodox if you're used to watching, say, like 100% speedruns, or even if you've done 100% clear of the game yourself. This might look out of order to you, but the next item on the list is the first E-Tank. This is the Terminator E-Tank, so called because the room you pick it up in, you'll be back. That's speedrunner lingo that I've picked up over the years. E-Tank is definitely, this particular E-Tank is definitely an S-tier item. Super Metroid, unlike other Metroid games, requires you to have some amount of health when you reach the final boss. When you step into the Mother Brain room, if you have both suits of armor, you need 300 health at least to win the game. So you have to pick up 3 E-Tanks somewhere, and this one's right on your way. Literally, in order to skip this E-Tank, rather, you have to jump over it, which is a bigger pain in the butt than just picking it up. So yeah, it's 100 health, it's right in your way. I definitely value health over missiles, so I think we can move the E-Tank to the left a little bit, high up in the S tier. After this, you go down into Brinstar, and this is where the first big sequence break is. These are the Mock Ball trap missiles. So these are the missiles that are in the room you would Mock Ball underneath the shutters. You're supposed to go down and collect the speed booster and come back up to this area to get beyond the shutters, but if you Mock Ball through them, or if you use some other trick, like ducking into the gates as they close and kind of clipping into them, you can pick up a set of super missiles very early, and there's some other items in this area. This missile pack is kind of a consolation prize. If you don't know how to get through the gates, or you don't have the speed booster yet, like if you're still new to the game, it's your first visit to Brinstar, you'll go into this room, the shutter will close in front of you, and you'll fall through a breakable floor right onto this missile pack. So it's kind of a consolation prize. At this point in the game, you definitely want to have a couple sets of missiles, but there's some more in this area that are not as obnoxious to grab. I'm going to say kind of a baseline, a missile pack that's just in your way, you might as well grab it, is a C tier item. This missile pack is a little devalued because to collect it, you either have to come into the room and fall through the floor and take it, and then reset the room so the floor and the shutters are back in place so you can mock ball under them, or you have to collect all the other items in this area and then drop back down into the entryway and then make a special trip in to grab these missiles. Either way, they're not right on your critical path, and most people will just mock ball straight over them. If you do mock ball over them and get into the room beyond, you find your first reserve tank. This is the Brinstar reserve tank. Again, you need the speed booster to get this item typically, but you can mock ball through the shutters and grab it early. And you know what? It's 100 health. I'm not going to say no to 100 health. Reserve tanks are a little less useful than energy tanks, but this early in the game, every 100 health you get lets you make a couple more mistakes. So I'm definitely going to rank this as an A tier item. The big speed bump for me very early in the game is the Phantoon boss fight. I usually roll up to Phantoon with very, very little health, and I've died in that fight a few times over the course of my life, and it sucks when that happens. And this reserve tank helps that not happen. And then there are a missile pack behind this reserve tank if you roll underneath it. These are a little easier to grab than the ones in the previous room, and if you only have 10 missiles at this point in the game, grabbing another 10 spot is actually very, very helpful. So I'm going to say that this missile pack is an A tier item behind the reserve tank. And then there's a missile pack right behind it if you bomb into the wall that's practically the same pickup. It's practically the same thing. So at this point in the game, you've got 20 missiles, 25 if you grab these ones on the floor. 25 missiles is pretty much you're good for the game. You really don't ever need more than that. You get missile pickups constantly. So from here on, pretty much all the missile packs are going to be in this C tier unless they're really, really easy to pick up, unless they're really right in your way. The real prize in this little mock ball room, though, is this set of super missiles. This is an S tier pickup. If you can get these super missiles early, congratulations. You've done one of the best sequence breaks in Super Metroid, and you can skip Spore Spawn. And what I really like about this pickup is that this is literally the only pack of super missiles in the whole game that you can conceivably reach before Spore Spawn. Even the Spore Spawn super missiles, there's a backdoor way to get them without fighting the boss, but it requires super missiles to get into. So yeah, super missiles, it's really hard to undervalue super missiles. Like, supers are probably better than even E-Tanks. And this first set enables you to do some cool sequence breaks and have a lot of good firepower very early in the game, and allows you to open a lot of red doors without having to fire 5 missiles. Super missiles just make you very, very versatile, and getting this early pack is excellent. The next little sequence break is in Pink Brinstar. After you either get your sequence break super missiles, or just along the critical path if you don't have super missiles yet, you go to the big pink room in Brinstar, and there's a grapple beam ceiling. Obviously, you're supposed to come back to this area later with the grapple beam, but if you're even a novice wall jumper, you can collect this pack of missiles right here in the big pink room. They're just sitting right there, and they're great. And then the next pickup would be the actual Spore Spawn super missiles. This would be your first pack of super missiles if you're just playing the game normally. Even if you sequence break, though, and you come into this room with super missiles, there is a little glitchy way to get into Spore Spawn's area, into the back door without fighting him. So this will be your second pack of super missiles. You'll have 10 supers at this point. Definitely an S tier pickup. A little devalued, though, over having the energy tank at this point. So I'm going to say that the first super missiles you pick up are the most important, and that's good enough to clear the game until you get into the wrecked ship and can pick up a couple more easy sets. The second set of super missiles, nice to have, but not as crucial as this energy tank. So I'm going to try to keep the actual tiers in order as well. Down at the base of that pink room, there is just this batch of missiles just sitting there in the open. You might as well grab them, why not? Underneath that, you will find your first beam upgrade, the Charge Beam. And the Charge Beam, I'm going to value very, very high, but not beyond your one set of super missiles. At the very, very end of the game, you can do more damage with a charged beam shot than you can with supers. The trade-off is you can't rapid fire a charged beam shot while you can rapid fire super missiles. Charge beam does more damage per hit, super missiles does more damage per second, if that makes sense. Both have their place, but you can't do any of that without the charge beam, so definitely S-tier item. There is a pack of missiles in the green room beyond Pink Brinstar on the other side of a hidden tunnel. These are a little bit out of the way because you got to go up a wall, but you're on the screen anyway, and it takes 2 seconds to just jump up into the tube and roll through. And at this point, you've got... what do we have here? We've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We've got like 40 missiles now. That's more than we'll ever need. Missiles are going to have to be directly in your path to be C tier at this point, I would think. So let's see. Going on a little further, we get our second beam upgrade, the Spazer. The Spazer's cool. I think what they want you to do is defeat Kraid. No, go down and get the long jump. And then high jump, and then come back up and backtrack a little to pick up the Spazer. Or you could just wall jump up there if you want to sequence break a little bit. The Spazer is basically a wide shot. The wide shot is very, very helpful in Super Metroid. The difference is the Spazer does not stack with all of your beams. At the end of the game, the Plasma Beam overwrites the Spazer, and you cannot have both equipped at once. That's going to keep Spazer from being an S-tier beam, I think. No, you know what? Still an S tier. Huh. I think pretty much all the beams are going to land in S tier. I'm going to devalue it underneath having super missiles or energy, though. I think your first super missiles or energy are going to be more valuable than the Spazer, which will help a lot in the early and like mid game, but then in the late game it gets turned off. But yeah, having that wide shot, it is a big help. After that, we'll fight our first big boss, Kraid, and then Kraid will give you the Various Suit. Various Suit, obviously, incredibly important item. I'm going to go ahead and roll this all the way up here, just behind Morph Ball and bombs. Reduces the damage you take, allows you to walk into heated rooms without taking damage. You can skip this item, you can finish the game without it, but there is no case where skipping this item saves you any time or makes anything easier or more efficient, as far as I'm aware. In fact, there's a little quirk in the damage reduction in that the second suit of armor you get also reduces the damage you take, and for every monster in the game, it doesn't stack with the Varia reduction. For example, you can go into your menu, unequip the Varia, keep the gravity suit equipped, and you would never notice the difference until you get to the very final boss. The attack that deals 300 damage that you have to survive to win the game will now deal, I think, 500 damage if you only have the gravity suit equipped. So even if you are going for the lowest possible percent run and thinking like, oh, I'll skip the Varia, and then the gravity suit will just take over from there. Well, if you skip the Varia, now you've got to pick up 2 energy tanks to pick up the slack. I think that's how the math works out. So I'm not aware of a run that doesn't pick up this item, and I don't think I've ever not picked it up, unless I was trying to prove a point or something. Also, in Kraid's area, kind of a little tutorial teaching you that boss doors don't always have to be in the boss room, is the Kraid energy tank. And this is still early enough in the game that I think energy tanks are extremely valuable. I'm going to go ahead and put the second energy tank behind the second set of super missiles. If you only have 5 supers at this point in the game, you will run out constantly, so having 10 supers is a major boon. So having 5 supers is more important than having 100 energy, but having 100 energy is more important than having 10 supers, and having 10 supers is more important than having 200 energy, if that makes any sense. No, I didn't think so. After that, though, you go down into Norfair, and then you pick up the high jump energy tank. I'm still going to say energy at this point in the game is an S-tier item, and this energy tank is literally in a room you're going to pass through anyway. There's no reason to not get this item. But we're at the point now where energy is going to be a little bit devalued. For example, I think the Spazer does more to help you with this stage in the game than having another 100 energy. At this point in the run, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 400 energy with the reserve tank, with, I think, 1 or 2 tanks left to pick up before Phantoon, and that's enough health to survive the Phantoon fight pretty comfortably. Also in this area, I mean, this is the high jump boots area, so you are going to pick up the high jump boots here. This is an incredibly high tier item. Let's see, you know what? I think I value the high jump boots even over the Varia, honestly. The high jump boots are one of those items that you think, oh, you know what? I know how to wall jump. I know how to bomb jump. I'm fine. I can get anywhere I need to go. Until you actually load up a game and try to get through some of these rooms without high jump boots, you'll never know how much you really took them for granted. I know I realized this doing some randomizer runs, like using the Varia randomizer, and playing through some areas without high jump boots that usually have them is just a major headache. One of the most valuable items in the game for sure. There's also a missile pack in the high jump area. C-tier missiles, whatever. They're right in your way. You might as well grab them. Now we've got like 50 missiles. It's fine. The next set of missiles, though, is down in a lava lake. It's hidden in a wall as you're moving through Norfair towards the speed booster area. And this is going to be our first D-tier item, I think. Like, the only reason to grab these missiles is if you are doing a 100% run. If you get them at this stage in the game, the Varia protects you from the heated room, but not from the heat from the lava. You need the gravity suit from that. It's also liquid physics, so you're going to be down in this lava for a good 10 or 15 seconds while you bomb the wall and roll in and get the missiles. And it's just not a fun time. I usually skip these unless I'm literally doing a 100% run. But you are passing through the room where they're located. You're not going out of your way, really. You just have to inconvenience yourself for a moment and roll into some lava. All for 5 missiles you're probably never going to use. So after that, you go into the green bubble area. And this is another room that has a big grapple ceiling. You're supposed to get the grappling beam and come back to this area to reach this top part of the room. Or you can wall jump up. With a really expertly placed wall jump, you can get into the Norfair reserve tank area and pick up another set of missiles that's just right in the way. These ones, I do kind of want to pick up the Norfair reserve tank because it's another 100 health, and that's going to help me get to and survive the Phantoon fight. Like, these would be D-tier missiles because you do have to go out of your way to get them, but it's on the way to an optional item that I do want to get. And so I think we can call these like a baseline set of missiles. I think we can call these C-tier missiles, and that's fine. The Norfair reserve tank, I'm going to go ahead and put that up in the B tier. This is going to be the first item in B tier. I'm not even sure if I really need 6 tiers, but the reason it's in B tier is this is 100% health, 100 health points rather, 100 energy. It's helpful if you're really squeamish about the Phantoon fight. I always cut that Phantoon fight a little close. Like, I really do get underneath 200 energy pretty commonly, I think. But I don't really get under 100 energy very commonly, dipping into this last reserve tank. So this reserve tank is a nice thing to have, but it is a little obnoxious to reach at this stage in the game, and it's not strictly necessary. So it's a little out of the way and not strictly necessary. I think that drops it down to B tier. And then there's another missile pack in the same room by the reserve tank. These are definitely D-tier missiles. Like, this is a borderline C-tier set of missiles because it's on the way to the reserve tank. Like, you need to jump on the platform they're sitting on. This set is hidden above the lava next to the reserve tank, and if you pick them up, you're going to fall into the lava, then you gotta jump out, and there are dragons shooting you. It's just a horror show. You don't want to do it unless you're doing a 100% run. The next set of missiles, though, is in the green bubble room, and they're accessible even without any tricks. They're just off to a little side path in the green bubble room. So that's a C-tier set of missiles. I'm okay with those. We've long ago crossed the threshold of having more missiles that it's possible to ever enjoy having in the whole game. The next set of missiles are the ones hidden in the ceiling just before the speed booster room. These ones are like right there. They're whatever. And they're kind of hidden in a fun place. I know a lot of people probably didn't find these back in the day without coming through the game with the X-ray scope. So I do like how they're hidden up in the ceiling there. Really easy to find if you're just painstakingly x-raying everything in the game looking for items, but I don't think anybody found this on their first pass through the game. But if you know they're there, you might pick them up. We are getting to the point now, though, where we have so many missiles that I think this is like the last easy set of missiles. Like at this point, you have so many missiles that like the baseline missile is now going to be in D tier, even if they're right in front of you, even if they're right in their way. So now missiles are going to have to work pretty hard to get up into this C tier. The next item is the speed booster. Like all other unique items in the game, I definitely think this is S tier. You can't complete the game without it. You can, but you have to be like the master of a lot of weird glitches and things. Where do I want to place it, though? Because the speed booster is a little obnoxious to use in places, and it lets you shine spark. And shine sparking is cool, but the mechanics of shine sparking can be a little difficult to understand, a little difficult to pick up. I definitely think, as far as useful items in the game, I'm going to say that this is less useful than the charge beam. I think that's fair. Because I charge the beam up all the time, and the speed booster is only useful in rooms that are kind of built for the speed booster. Still a very, very cool item, and I'm glad that they introduced it to the series here. So after this, if you're going to sequence break again, you can go just downstairs to the wave beam area. This is another area they want you to backtrack to with the grappling beam, but if you know how to wall jump, you can get across pretty easily. And this is a set of consolation prize missiles. You can reach these missiles without the grappling beam if you don't know how to wall jump. And it's kind of the pickup you get that shows you, hey, come back to this room later with the grappling beam. But this is just a baseline missile set that's in your way. It's got to start in the D tier. We're going to be filling up a lot of D tier with missiles, I think. The wave beam itself requires just a couple of wall jumps to pick up at this stage in the game if you don't want to come back with grapple. So yeah, this is definitely an excellent beam. It's definitely better than the Spazer. And the wave beam allows you to shoot through walls, which is great. You know what? I'm going to put it just behind super missiles. I think that's appropriate. Yeah. Picking up the wave beam this early in the game, it was the first, like, when I played the game for my second or third time and I was kind of learning how to wall jump, I got into the wave beam room without even like really understanding that I had done a sequence break. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to have the wave beam yet. That was a really cool moment for me personally, but I'm not going to let that interfere with its placement on the list. At this point, you're kind of done with Norfair. You're supposed to go down and fight Crocomire and do the whole grappling beam area. Obviously, I sequence break all of that, and we're going to do Crocomire much later. So on the way out of Norfair, we can pick up the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is cool. You can complete the game without it. You don't need to freeze the Metroids to kill them in Torian. But it definitely helps. If you don't have the Ice Beam, Torian is much more difficult. It's hard to place in this tier list because the runs where the Ice Beam is the most useful are like randomizer runs where it's required for passage through the game. It's required for advancement. Like you've got to freeze enemies in rooms and climb them in like a ladder, which is the intended path of the game at this point. But obviously I'm a wall jumper, so I don't need the Ice Beam to do that. I definitely think I would still value it over the Spazer Beam. Like if I was going to skip one of these two, I would skip the Spazer because the ice will stack with every other beam. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll pick up the Ice Beam and then I'll turn it off in the menu. The reason being, if you have the Ice Beam, it just adds one hit to every monster you shoot in the game. And I've done runs where I didn't pick the Ice Beam up until I went down in to fight Ridley. So, yeah, I feel like this is an appropriate place on the S tier to place this item. This next item is the first set of power bombs you're supposed to pick up. The idea is you get the Ice Beam, then you climb back up into Brinstar, you use the Ice Beam to climb up a shaft, which gives you access to an area where you find your first set of power bombs. Obviously, you can sequence break past all this. I'm trying to think of the path in my head. How would you get down into Crocomire without power bombs at this stage in the game? And I can't quite put the map together just thinking about it. But it is possible. You can sequence break and get your first power bombs lower in Norfair in the Crocomire area. But you're supposed to go up and get these power bombs and then kind of backtrack down again and use power bombs to reach Crocomire. Yeah, you know what? Your first set of power bombs Definitely an S tier item, unquestioningly. But where in S tier? I kind of don't like using power bombs. Like, I'll always forget that I have them equipped, and they seem to run out, and they're more difficult to replenish. I guess I would value them over my second pack of missiles or my second energy tank. And maybe over these 2 beams. I think that's probably appropriate right there. Yeah, we'll place it behind those 2 energy tanks and also behind the wave beam. You need it to clear the game, and usually when I play the game, I only use power bombs in areas where I have to break blocks that have power bomb icons on them. There's only one boss fight where I actually use power bombs to fight the monster. If you blow up the power bomb room with a power bomb, it opens up a missile. They're one screen out of the way. This is a D tier missile. There's just missiles hidden everywhere at this point in the game. You're just picking them up as a flex, honestly. Just above that room is another secret room with a bunch of... It's not a secret room, it's a spikety room. But there's a secret room under the spikes, and this is your second set of power bombs. I'm going to say the second set of power bombs... ooh, you know what? You need 3 sets of power bombs to be able to crystal flash. So yeah, if you're going to have Crystal Flash in your repertoire, you're going to need to have power bombs. I'm going to put every power bomb pack in S tier until we reach that threshold, but this is definitely the back of S tier. Like, even having 10 missiles is more useful than having 10 power bombs. The thing about this pack is it's not very far out of your way. It's still really close by, and it helps you not run out of power bombs. A lot of enemies don't drop them. Certain enemies drop them all the time, but those enemies are not always in the area where you're going to use them to break blocks or open yellow doors. After this, we have the missile pack on the lake. This is the one that you've seen people Shine Spark over or Shine Spark through. And, I mean, it's just a D-tier missile set, whatever. You're either going to grab these as you grapple across the moat towards the wrecked ship, or you're going to grab them as you Shine Spark through them. Ooh, this is a fun one. This is our first F-tier item. These are the missiles underneath the lake, on your way to the wrecked ship. You've got to go down into the water, blow up a wall, and roll through a secret passage through a bunch of empty space into this cave where the missile pack is hidden. If you do this before you get the gravity suit, it takes 4.5 hours. And if you wait until after you have the gravity suit, you're still going like 3 screens out of your way, and why bother? So, whatever. Now we're in the wrecked ship, and there's one pack of there's one pack of missiles you can pick up in the wrecked ship while the power is off. It's the only item you can collect before killing Phantoon. They're on the other end of a spikety passage. The spikes cannot hurt you while the power is off. If the power was on and the spikes in the room could hurt you, I would place these missiles in F tier because they're a lot more obnoxious to collect at that point. But as far as 100% items go, these might as well be on your critical path. They're in a room that's basically harmless as long as you haven't killed Phantoon yet. Once you do kill Phantoon, you can collect 2 really easy sets of super missiles up on your way out of the wrecked ship. The first one is just in a room as you're leaving, and I'm definitely going to call these an S tier pack of super missiles. I'm going to value these. How high do I want to go? Because we already have 10. This is going to bring us up to 15. Having 15 super missiles is really, really nice, but it would have been nicer to have them before Phantoon, I think. So yeah, I think behind the Spazer. I think the Spazer has done more heavy lifting up to this point in the game than having a couple more super missiles post Phantoon. The next set of super missiles, I'm only going to put in A tier. High A tier. Like, very, very high. I'll put it at the top of the A tier is fine. The reason being, you have to go through a long room and push a bunch of mech droids into holes and jump over them. They're off the beaten path. It takes a couple seconds to get through the room. But hey, it's more supers when you get to the end. And supers are always valuable. Ooh, this is an F-tier missile set. These are the wrecked ship attic missiles. And this is the very bottom of the F-tier. Oh, that's not true. No, there are worse items in the game, Brookhard. What are you talking about? So the attic is a room in the wrecked ship at the very, very top that has gray doors on all 3 exits. There's the exit in the floor that you enter through. Then there's an exit on the far left side and an exit on the far right side. You have to kill all the enemies in the room, and the enemies in the wrecked ship are these like swooping, acid-spitting key hunters and like the floating globules, and they're obnoxious to kill, and there's a whole bunch of them. Once you kill all the enemies, the gray doors don't open, they start flashing. And when you open a gray door that's flashing, it will stay open for the rest of the game, but if you open one and leave the room and then go back into the room, any gray doors you haven't opened will again be gray. So the attic missiles, you either have to go up into the room, clear both sides of the attic, and then backtrack again to open both doors in order to go get these missiles. Or you have to go into the attic, clear the whole attic, get these missiles, and then clear the whole attic again to open the other door on the other side. All that's way too much work for 5 missiles when you've already got like 100 missiles. These are awful. Ooh, this is another F-tier set of missiles, because now we've come out of the wreck ship, we're out into Criteria. These are the missiles that are up in the Criteria ceiling. You know what? I'm gonna say these are worse than the attic missiles, actually. So there's 2 ways to get this missile set. Well, there's more than 2 ways. You can, obviously, if you want to come back to this area after you have space jump and screw attack and all the good stuff, you can just jump up there and grab them. If you know the exact spot to jump from, you can shine spark up, shoot the wall, and then grab them before you fall down. Or you've got to ride these really slow green platforms. You've got to ride one all the way to the left, then jump up to the second one, ride it all the way to the right, jump up onto the third one, ride it all the way to the left. And then once you get into the position you see in this little screenshot here, you really only have like a second or 2 to shoot the wall and grab the missile before the green thing bounces off the wall and you fall. I've messed this up more times than I can count. They're awful. I hate them. This next pack of missiles, though, these are the ones, they're in the same area. You need to use a super missile to blow open this little Morph Ball maze to go down and pick them up. Yeah, these are definitely worse than baseline missiles, which puts them in the F tier, but they're going to be at the top of the F tier, because they're not in your way. You do have to go out of your way. If you're quick, you only spend 1 super missile to get this pickup. But if you're not careful, if you don't know the maze, you might fall all the way back down into the lake and have to go through the entire wrecked ship again to get back up to the top. So just don't do that. The next set of missiles are the ones down in the gravity suit area. This is just a standard D tier set, whatever. They're just in the way. In fact, you have to pick these up if you want to get the wrecked tank, the wrecked ship reserve tank. Which, you know what, I will value a little highly. And since you can't get that reserve tank without getting these missiles, I'm going to bump these up to the very bottom of C tier, I think. Because what you do is you blow up the statue that's holding the missiles up, and then you do a shine spark behind the statue to pick up the reserve tank, which I think is in B tier. And I actually think this reserve tank is a little less obnoxious to pick up than this one. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the places of these 2 reserve tanks in B tier. I think that's appropriate. The next item you pick up is the gravity suit. This is definitely an S tier item. In fact, it's really easy to place because it is the best mobility item in the game when you're underwater. It does everything the Varia does, except for damage reduction against Mother Brain. You need both suits for that. I'm going to value the gravity suit over the high jump boots. If I only picked one of these items, like if I was in a randomizer, I consider the gravity suit to be like a must-have item for completion, where the high jump boots are more like really, really nice to have and make the entire rest of the run easier, but you can and I have complete runs without them if you have to. The wrecked ship energy tank. It's an energy tank, but we're about to pick up a ton of energy tanks, and we're past the Phantoon fight at this point. Like, there's nothing in the game that's going to threaten me until we get to Ridley, and this energy tank isn't going to cut the mustard. To get this energy tank, you either have to go up the back door area of the wrecked ship without the gravity suit, which in this room is virtually impossible if you don't have the grappling beam, which I don't at this point. Or you go get the gravity suit and then backtrack. Either way, it's obnoxious, That being said, this might be the most obnoxious energy tank to get in the game, but it's still an energy tank. You know what I mean? Like, energy tanks are great pickups. I'm going to put this in the bottom of B tier. I think that's a good place for energy tanks to kind of congregate, if I can think of a reason that they irritate me. After this is another set of power bombs. These are the ones up above the ship. Basically, you come back to the ship after doing all the wrecked ship stuff. If you got the speed booster, it's just one easy shine spark up to the top area. This is the third set of power bombs, is it not? Yeah, this is our third set, so this is the Magic 15. At this point, you can Crystal Flash if you want to. That's good enough to put it in the very, very bottom of S tier, but I imagine that these two sets of power bombs are going to remain in the bottom of S tier. And the only reason they're not lower is because you need 15 to be able to Crystal Flash. Correction, you need 11 to Crystal Flash. You need 10 to perform the Crystal Flash itself, but to initiate the Crystal Flash, you need to lay a power bomb. So that's the 11th one. But in order to have 11 power bombs, you need to have a total of 15 because they come in packs of 5. And by the way, if you're not familiar, the Crystal Flash is a secret move in Super Metroid, which consumes some missiles, super missiles, and power bombs in order to refill all of your energy. It's a cool Hail Mary move that's useful in certain places, and now we can do it because we have the rest of our power bombs. Now we've gone up into the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is an area up and to the left of Samus's ship, high up in Criteria, that's filled with rising and falling acid that the gravity suit does not protect against, filled with weird bombable walls. Very, very tricky area, especially very early in randomizer runs, but I don't mind the Gauntlet, typically, and there is an energy tank here. I think it's fair to put this energy tank at the top of B tier, because there are going to be easier energy tanks to grab that are going to be on our way as we're backtracking down through Brinstar for the second time. But I mean, the Gauntlet is an area you're going to... It's an optional... or it's an alternate route into the area of Brinstar that you want to search. Like, you might as well use the alternate route in that has another energy tank. And if you do, I think that's good for a B tier item. You know what isn't a B tier item, though, are the 2 missile packs you get at the end of the Gauntlet. Both of these missile packs are awful. Where do I want to place them in F tier? I usually will do the Gauntlet because of this E-Tank. So I'm usually coming out of the Gauntlet anyway, and they're at the exit. So they are technically on my path. But... yeah, you know what? I think I've got to put them... they're definitely F tier. I'm going to put them both here. So here's how these 2 missile packs are structured, right? You come out of the Gauntlet, and you break the floor. And then the floor is all crumble blocks. And there's a left column of crumble blocks leading to a left set of missiles, and a right column of crumble blocks leading to a right set of missiles. If you jump on the left set and fall all the way down, you can pick up the left missiles, then get out of the area back onto the critical path. Ditto, if you do the right set of crumble blocks and come all the way down, you can pick up the right set of missiles, and then you're back on the critical path. And if you're pixel perfect, you can land right in the center and break both columns of crumble blocks all the way down, and then pick up both sets of missiles. But if you're off a few pixels in either direction, one of those columns of crumble blocks will not be destroyed, and you have to go through the entire Gauntlet again if you want to get 100%. So kind of aggravating. I've seen that happen to people, and it's not fun. This next set of missiles, this is actually the early Criteria missiles. These ones are next to the Criteria map room. You can pick these up in a regular game right after you get bombs. If you go back down into the Criteria shaft leading to Old Torian again, rather than continue left to the Terminator room. I don't grab these missiles early because I know I'm not going to need them. They're like 2 or 3 screens out of the way, and then you've got to go through this little room with a bunch of bomb blocks. It just eats up a whole bunch of time. You would never grab these unless you're doing a 100% run. I'm going to say very, very low D tier. But if you're new to the game and you really want a lot of early missiles, you're going to find these pretty easily, I should think. After that, we have all of the stuff in Old Torian. If you're down in Old Torian and you bomb the Mother Brain room, there's a set of missiles down underneath there. These are all the way at the bottom of the shaft. I'm coming to the bottom of the shaft anyway for a reason that will become clear in just a second. But yeah, 2 rooms out of the way and you need a power bomb to get through them. even more obnoxious in a randomizer. I've had randomizer runs where I've needed the screw attack to break the blocks to open up these missiles. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to also place these at the bottom of D tier, below this other missile set here, for sure. The reason I'm at the bottom of the shaft, though, is the path at the bottom of the shaft has another secret room leading to a speed booster tunnel where you can shine spark up to another set of super missiles. So at this point in the game, I've got, what, about 20 supers? Is that what I've got? Yeah, because I've got the first two, and then I've got the two from the wrecked ship. And I put one of those in the A tier. So I guess the baseline valuation for super missiles is now in the A tier, not the S tier. That's fair enough to say. And these missiles are at least a little out of the way. Still A tier, but I mean bottom of A tier. This puts them behind the two sets of missiles in the Morph Ball area at a point in the game where having an extra 10 missiles is actually excellent. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you get in Brinstar at this point of the game. If you backtrack to Brinstar, there's a lot of space that opens up now that you have some more movement options. The first of these is the fake floor E-Tank. This goes down into the Etikun area. This is the famous E-Tank with the floor people fall through and they're trapped in the Etikun area and you have to wall jump to get out, and people don't know how to wall jump, so they just stop playing the game and their save is just trapped there for all eternity. I do know how to wall jump, and also I know to jump over the fake floor in front of this E-Tank. So this E-Tank doesn't bother me at all. And I do like to backtrack through Brinstar and pick up a whole bunch of stuff. So you know what? I'm going to say that this E-Tank is... I put the Gauntlet at the top of the B tier. I think it's safe to put this one at the bottom of the A tier. I think that's fair, because the Gauntlet E-Tank is way out of the way. This one's a little bit out of the way, but not quite as bad. The other reason you want to grab this E-Tank, though, is there's a set of super missiles right behind it. And if we're saying the baseline for supers is now in the A tier, this one would have to be pretty high A tier. Well, let's see, I placed my easy wrecked ship supers pretty high up. I think these ones are probably also pretty good. I'm going to put these ahead of the other early missiles because every super missile will get used. Even in 100% runs when I play the game, when I get down into lower Norfair, I'm constantly running out of super missiles. I will use all of them, so... Next, we have another set of power bombs. Power bombs can no longer go into S tier, and 15 power bombs is more than you will ever need over the course of a game. It's kind of ridiculous that there are 10 sets of power bombs hidden in the game. So power bombs, I'm going to say after you can Crystal Flash, there's really no use for picking them up anymore. These ones are at the top of the Etikun shaft, which you're up there anyway. If you have to wall jump up to them or come back with the space jump. But they're pretty easy to pick up. I'm happy to put these in C tier. And you know what? A baseline power bomb. Let's pick a spot for baseline power bombs. Let me see here. I think I would have to place the baseline power bombs. All the way up above the Brinstar tunnel, I think. Because this Brinstar tunnel is very early in the game, but this is about the point in the game where picking up more and more, like each missile set is diminishing returns, right? Like by the time you get to this particular missile set, you might never go below 5 missiles again. Whereas this, your 4th pack of power bombs, if you're running the game in this particular sequence, I could see a situation where you might get down to below 5 power bombs in this situation. So I think the baseline power bomb has more value than the baseline missile, for sure. There are more power bombs. We're still in Brinstar. If we go into the... we're back in the pink room, and then there is a hidden area that we go through, and there's some power bombs and like guarded by side hoppers? I think, yeah, a big side hopper room. Kind of off the beaten path. I'm in the pink Brinstar area anyway. I'm backtracking down to Meridia. You've got to come through this room. But this is a little out of the way segment. And I really don't think... Like, if you're going to pick up a set of power bombs, pick up the ones in the Etikun shaft, which we've already done. So, I'm going to put these lower in C tier, I think. Like, grabbing the tunnel missiles is probably better. I think put those on the other side of the tunnel missiles might be a good spot for them. They're kind of out of the way. A couple of E-Tanks just off of the pink Brinstar room. The first one is guarded by a gate you open with the wave beam, which is really, really handy. It's right here. It's really easy to grab. Are we saying that E-Tanks are kind of B tier now? The Gauntlet was a B tier tank. This is definitely better than the Gauntlet tank. And you know what? I'll even say it's better than the Edecoon tank, because you don't really have to go out of your way. You're probably coming through the pink Brinstar room at some point in your explorations. In order to find this E-Tank, all you have to do is open a yellow door that you couldn't open on your first visit, and in the next room you just use the wave beam, and then you have an E-Tank. So it's really, really easy to pick up. So you know what? I'm going to value it higher than that. We'll put it over any reserve tanks in this tier for sure. There's a second E-Tank in this area, down at the bottom of the pink Brinstar room. This is in the waterway tunnel. This is down below the charge beam, so you need 2 power bombs, one to get in, then one to get back out. You use speed booster along the water. This is a really aggravating E-Tank to get if you don't have gravity suit, which happens sometimes in randomizer runs. But in a standard run, you're never going to be backtracking through Brinstar without the gravity suit. It's just a little bit out of your way. It's about as out of your way as the Edecoon E-Tank. But I think, you know what, you need 2 power bombs to pick up both of these, because you need a power bomb to get into and out of the Edecoon area anyway. If I was only going to pick up one of these, I would pick up the Edecoon tank. Yeah, I think that's fair. Put it right behind the Edecoon tank. That works for me. Now we're going into blue Brinstar. Here's some more power bombs. We found a back door into the blue Brinstar area now, and there's power bombs there. So we're saying that power bombs are kind of just baseline C tier now. This is fine then. We'll just keep going how we're going. Also in the blue Brinstar area, there is the ceiling E-Tank. This E-Tank is definitely possible to get much earlier. Pretty much at any point in the game after high jump, you can come back and collect it. Or there's a really, really easy to learn damage boost you can learn where you jump up without the high jump into a Geemer crawling along the ceiling that just knocks you up in to collect the E-Tank. In randomizer runs, this is technically the second item you can check in the game, the second or third. It's down in that area. You can grab it pretty easily. And I think this one is definitely easier to grab than either of these two, but you kind of have to go off the beaten path, where the Edecoons and the waterway are just slightly out of the way. This blue Brinstar room is quite a ways out of the way. You've got to go pretty deep back into blue Brinstar to find it. Still, I think this whole section of Brinstar rediscovery E-Tanks is appropriate to put all together here. After that, we have the missiles. If you go up above that blue Brinstar ceiling, there's a Shine Spark area up into like a waterway with an invisible bridge. Really obnoxious room with falling rocks and spikes if you don't know the trick to it, which is to find the hidden bridge. If you find the invisible bridge and run across, you go into a room where there are some missiles, and they're just baseline missiles. They're just whatever. And they're way off the beaten path, but they're not really obnoxious to get, and they are in an area that has like an energy tank and power bombs, like you might be here anyway. There's a second set of missiles hidden in the same room that have been affectionately dubbed the Billy Mays missiles, because, but wait, there's more! If you get the first missiles, here are some second missiles. I actually love how this missile pack is hidden, because typically at this point in the game, the player will have the X-ray scope, and they will be trained to look through rooms like this, so discovering this little pack of missiles just hidden in the floor is a nice little cookie for them. But I'm a seasoned player, these missiles don't do anything for me anymore. Speaking of the X-ray scope, that's the next item that I picked up. Now this item is actually very, very obnoxious to get if you don't have the grappling beam or the space jump, but I had so much health in a typical run. All you really need is the ice beam, so yeah, just turn the ice beam back on, you just boost your way all across the spikes, freeze one of the zippers, and jump up to the area with the X-ray scope. I know there are some glitches you can do with the X-ray scope to get like crazy murder beam strats. I don't know how to do any of those glitches or how useful they actually are. But the X-ray scope is one of my favorite items conceptually in Metroid. The idea is it shows you the true nature of every block you look at, whether it's a bomb block or a crumble block or what. So searching the game with the X-ray scope, I actually think is really fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I was really bummed out that they didn't add this item in future Metroid games. And right now, somebody's adding a comment like, oh, there's an X-ray scope in Metroid Prime. Yeah, there is, but it doesn't serve this same function as this does. This X-ray scope's function is to help you find hidden items, not to complete the game. Usually I will not collect this item at all. I just completely skip it. I have no need for it. I know where all the items are. But I cannot undervalue it in terms of helping a player develop their like Metroid sense over the course of the game. The X-ray scope doesn't just show you where hidden stuff is, it teaches you how the game hides hidden stuff, which is a tremendous asset. I'm definitely going to say this is an S tier item. I'm going to put it, where's the next unique item? Is the ice beam here, I guess. I'm going to undervalue it just behind the ice beam. It's probably the least useful, unique item in the game, because if you already know where the stuff is hidden, like I do, you don't have a use for it. But you didn't get to that point of mastery with the game without the X-ray scope, did you? No, didn't think so. Moving on. Oh, this is an F-tier missile set. Oh, I hate these missiles. These are the missiles hidden in Kraid's lair area of Brinstar, but you need power bombs to access them. So the two ways to get this missile are, one, climb the red Brinstar shaft and get power bombs very early without the benefit of ice beam or high jump, and then go all the way back down the red Brinstar shaft into Kraid's area, or you backtrack into Kraid's area later. Either way, you're doing some annoying backtracking. Slightly less annoying to do them later because you don't then have to climb an obnoxious shaft, but yeah, still, I don't like the backtracking at this point of the game. It's just a question of how obnoxious are they. I think they're worse than the lake, I'm going to say. Because the lake is just kind of a time waster. You kind of just roll in slowly, then roll back out. But these ones, you actually have to re-clear a bunch of map tiles just to reach them on your way to Meridia. So, yeah, no, too far out of the way for just a set of missiles. Then we have the missiles embedded in the Meridia wall. So the way to get these missiles is you have to do a Shine Spark puzzle to reach them by charging a Shine Spark in the next room, saving it through the door, and then jumping from the correct spot on the floor. It's actually a very, very satisfying puzzle to put it all together, which I did, of course, the first time that I did a full 100% of the game. But picking these up in a 100% run is a little obnoxious. It's kind of finicky. You've only got a few seconds to position yourself correctly, or you'll hit the wrong spot on the ceiling. And it's all for just a missile set. So, and of course, I'm not even accounting for all the players that they don't know how to get this missile set. I'm sure there are players out here for whom these are like the final missiles in the game. They don't have any idea how to collect. So they're definitely F-tier missiles. I don't think they're quite as bad as the Kraid ones, though. I'm thinking whether I like them better than the lake or not. You know what? No, because I like conceptually, I like the Shine Spark puzzle. Like, I think these are an interesting exercise to learn how to get. I think I'm willing to go all the way to the top of F tier for this missile pack. I think is fine. Because I like Shine Spark puzzles, and Super Metroid only has a couple of them, and this is one of them. So I think they're fun to collect, but the prize isn't worth it, if that makes any sense. The next missiles are also in the same room, in another cave, but these are super missiles, and they don't require a Shine Spark puzzle. They require just some observation. You have to notice that there are crab monsters climbing out of a particular section of wall, and then that leads to a Morph Ball tunnel, which leads to these supers. I'm not willing to put any set of super missiles below A tier, I don't think. And these ones are pretty well on the beaten path. Like, you don't have to really go out of your way at all to get these. So, what do I think? Like, they're better than these old Torian supers for sure. And I'm going to value them higher than the extra missiles behind the reserve tank, I think. Yeah, that's probably fair, because these ones are in Meridia, in a room you're going through anyway. Even if you're speedrunning, you have to go through this room. It's a big open room in Meridia. This backtrack only takes about 10 or 20 seconds. They're right there. You might as well grab them. We've got some more F-tier missiles here, though, kids. These are the Mama Turtle wall missiles. I believe, and I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am, I believe these are the only missiles in the entire game you cannot find with the X-ray scope. Because there's nowhere to stand. You can't use the X-ray scope while falling. You have to be on a solid platform, and the only solid platform available in this room is the Mama Turtle. But if you stand on the Mama Turtle and try to activate the X-ray scope, I think she just damages you and you clip through her and fall. So the only way to find these missiles is to just kind of be shooting at all the walls, and they're hidden in such an out-of-the-way place, off the beaten path. Like when people tell me, oh man, I got 98%, I don't know where the 2 missiles are I missed. I'm like, Mama Turtle wall missiles. A little ways out of the way. They're not as out of the way as like these wall missiles. The thing about the Mama Turtle missiles is if you know where they are, you just grab them, right? Like they're right there. You don't have to do anything like really obnoxious to get them. So they're better than the attic. They're better than the Kraid's Lair missiles for a reason I'll mention in a second, and they're better than the Lake missiles for a reason I'll mention in a second. You know what? On par with Gauntlet definitely seems fair to me. In fact, I'm going to put them in between the 2 missiles in the Gauntlet, and I'll explain why, because the Mama Turtle prize is actually this energy tank. It's a little out of the way. The Mama Turtle room is in a secret area off the beaten path. You have to go down there deliberately. You're not just going to accidentally get into this room. But I'd rather come to this area than get this wrecked ship energy tank, I think. I definitely think this is fair. And so there are missiles hidden just in the wall next to this E-Tank. Just like there are missiles hidden at the end of the Gauntlet here, just next to this E-Tank. So if you go to collect this E-Tank, you get a free set of missiles, right? If you go to collect the Mama Turtle E-Tank, you get a free set of missiles, right? This Gauntlet set here, the second Gauntlet set of missiles, is devalued because if you miss the crumble blocks, you can't collect both sets, and that's obnoxious. So we can differentiate between the 2 Gauntlet missiles, as in the first set you collect is free, the second set requires you to do the crumble blocks correctly. And I think Mama Turtle can split that difference. There's a whole area of Meridia, kind of the sand cave, that is just out of the way, but there are super missiles hidden there. And like I said, I'm not willing to put super missiles lower than A tier. This set is just off to the side, so this is the first time in a while. Yeah, you know what? These are just some D tier missiles. These are fine. They're a little out of the way. They're not as out of the way as Billy Mays, though. Yeah, that's fair. At the end of that passage in the sand cave, you find a room that has both a super missile set and a missile set. They're both in the same room. The super missiles, they are pretty... This whole sand area is a dead end in Meridia. Meridia, for a new player, is all about constantly making you explore paths you think are leading somewhere that just end up being dead ends or that loop you back onto previous paths. It's meant to be confusing. So there are a lot of dead end areas to populate, and I'm glad they populated this, at least one of them, with super missiles. So yeah, you know what? I'm willing to put these super missiles here at the bottom-ish of A tier, ahead of these extra energy tanks we picked up. But the missiles in the exact same room I will not be as kind for. They're not... You know what? Technically, they're slightly better than these other sand room missiles. Because theoretically, if you're just going along this path to grab this extra set of supers, this set of missiles is basically free. They're right there. But this set of missiles, you do have to clear a couple more map tiles, run off to the right, and pick them up. So it's slightly worse to pick this set up than this set, but I don't think anybody's going to complain too much. The next set of missiles is in the frozen room in Meridia. These can be pretty high up in D tier here. Yeah, let's see. In fact, These sand set missiles should probably actually be higher, now that I'm thinking of it. Yeah, because this is right next to a set of supers we're going to pick up. These are just slightly off the beaten path here. Okay. And then these ones are kind of in the same boat, but they're a little better because they're not off the beaten path. Like, these are the best of the best D-tier missiles. They're on the critical path. You are in the frozen room anyway. You just got to do a Shine Spark up to the top of a room you're already in. And the reason you might want to do that Shine Spark, even if you don't care about these missiles, is because these supers are also here. And they're easier to pick up than either of the other supers we've got at the bottom of A tier here. They're easier to pick up than the ones underneath Old Mother Brain, because you're already in this room, whereas Old Mother Brain, you've got to go out of your way to pick them up. And the next item is the Batwoon Energy Tank. This is just a free energy tank. Like, what up? It's just there. You might as well grab it. So yeah, I'm going to put this in the very, very bottom of S tier over the Crystal Flash Power Bombs, I think. Because at this stage in the game, you either have enough energy tanks, or this is like the last energy tank you need to pick up. It's right after Batwoon. There's no reason to not grab it. You just kind of roll into the hole. You don't have to do anything special. The next set of missiles is on the critical path. These are the Dragon missiles. They're hidden in the Dragon room, or behind the path leading to the Dragon room, rather. There's no reason to go to this area. You're not picking up supers from this area, so these are going to be better than dipping yourself in lava, I think, for sure. Our next item is the Space Jump. This is an S tier item, but with an asterisk. So I actually really don't like how the Space Jump functions in Super Metroid. It's very finicky. There's a window of time at the peak of your jump, just after you've started to come down from your peak, where you can trigger the Space Jump. It's not just endless forever jumping like it is in some games, and like how it feels like it ought to be. So if I'm saying that X-Ray Scope is the least useful, unique item, I guess over Spazer, because we valued it over Spazer. Space Jump is going to be behind the Speed Booster for sure. Behind the Easy Energy Tank Supers for sure. I'm going to put it behind Wave Beam, I think. But I won't put it... Oh, you know what? I got to put it behind Ice Beam too then if I do that. Because the fully charged beam at the end of the game does use the Ice Beam. And I think I value that fully charged beam over having Space Jump. I'm willing to do this. Yeah, I'm willing to put it behind Ice Beam. Space Jump's just a little finicky. I'm very used to it, of course. I've played this game a million times, but I feel like I shouldn't have to be. You know, I feel like if I'm spin jumping and I push the jump button in the air at any point, I should get a Space Jump, and that's just not how it works. Plasma Beam. Boom. So good. We're going to... do I value the Plasma Beam over the Gravity Suit? No. Do I value it over the High Jump Boots? Yes. I would pick up Gravity Suit over Plasma Beam in like a randomizer if I had to choose, but I wouldn't pick up High Jump Boots over Plasma. Plasma is just too stupidly strong. It pierces monsters. It kills basically every monster in the game in one shot. If you charge it up, it can damage bosses more than Super Missiles can. We have some low F-tier missiles left, though. Because at this point, we've killed Dragon. We're starting to backtrack through Meridia into some gray doors that have opened up. And at the bottom of the frozen room, you can go down into the sand pits. It's almost like a worse version of the Criteria Gauntlet, right? Because you have to go down the sand pit and then crawl all the way back up through Meridia to get into the frozen room again, to go down the other sand pit. You can't do both sand pits at once. There are 2 sand pits, and there are 2 items in each one. The first sand pit absolutely sucks because the 2 items are a missile pack, and this missile pack is so far off the beaten path and so far away. I don't think there's another missile pack in the game that's more obnoxious to get than this one. And the other item in the room is a set of power bombs, and we've been devaluing power bombs. We have too many. Like, I'm also going to say this is an F-tier set of power bombs. And you know what? Power bombs just aren't as useful as missiles. I'm willing to put both of these items in the very bottom of F tier because this sandpit room takes so much time to reach, and then you've got to backtrack all the way through Meridia to go to the other sandpit room. In between the two sandpits, because it dumps you out on the path to the spring ball, you technically need the grappling beam to pick up the spring ball, but there's like a glitch where you freeze a guy, then jump up through a floor you're not supposed to clip through. I did that. I grabbed the spring ball here. It's a unique item, and it's kind of fun to play with, and there are some fun glitches you can do to sequence break, but those are only going to be useful in a randomizer setting, because that's the only situation where you'll have the spring ball, but not some of these other items. But it's way, way out of the way. It requires glitches to reach if you don't have Grappling Beam, and Grappling Beam is like the first major thing you skip if you learn to sequence break this game. Spring Ball doesn't add any functionality to your moveset at all. Nothing you can do with Spring Ball is something you couldn't do with standard bomb jumping or a midair morph or something like that. You know what? I like Spring Ball, but I don't think I can call it S tier. I gotta put it in the A tier. High in the A tier. For sure. Not higher than any super missiles, though. And I've got super missiles back here. Like here. It's a fun item, but it just doesn't add anything on most runs. To really play with this item and get a lot of value out of it, you've got to be playing a randomizer where you find it early, and maybe it's even in your logic. Okay. After that, we're back into the second sandpit. This sandpit, you at least have a slight reason to go in there because it's where the Meridia reserve tank is kept. And going through one sandpit isn't terrible. You might be backtracking through Meridia anyway, cleaning up stuff you didn't get the first time. You might find yourself in that frozen room again just as you're through your explorations. If the other reserve tanks that are kind of out of the way are in the B tier, I'm willing to say this item is way in the bottom of C tier, because you really don't need more energy at this stage in the game. No matter how, even if you haven't picked up many energy tanks, like if you've gotten this far in the game, this reserve tank's not gonna make or break you. But if you decide to just go through one of the sand pits, you might as well go through the one with the reserve tank, which means that the missile pack in that room is going to be better than the other sand pit. But it's still a sandpit room. I would rather do one sandpit room than get this stupid ceiling pack. But I think clearing the attic twice is less aggravating than going through a sandpit. Man, I hate those sandpits. So now in the run, I'm headed down to Ridley. We have to... there are items to collect in the Crocomire area, so we're going to go into the Crocomire area first. These are the missiles in the wall underneath the ice beam. These are just aggravating to get because the room's full of crumble blocks. You've got a wall jump or space jump up. I'm not sure how you would collect these missiles if you don't know how to wall jump without the space jump. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they intend you to... I really don't know. These are definitely F-tier missiles, and they're aggravating to get, but they're not worse in terms of backtracking than the Kraid. They're not even on the critical path either, though, because I only went to fight Crocomire in this run because I needed to get these screenshots. In a regular run, I would just ignore Crocomire altogether. So yeah, I think this placement is fair because I would at least be in the room where these missiles in the lake exist, where this room I might not even see at all. Okay. So the next missiles, these are the Crocomire exit missiles. If you come up from Crocomire's area, there's a green gate blocking off these missiles that you can see from the main Norfair shaft, but you can't access them without the green gate glitch from that side. Kind of a famous place for useful items to show up in randomizers, but whatever. These are... I guess this would be fine. I can't put them in D tier because they're nowhere near the critical path, but if you're going to pick them up, it's just you go out of your way to rooms. You don't have to try to climb this stupid crumble block shaft. if you are going to go down and kill Crocomire, there's the Terminator E-Tank. I'm going to say this is the least valuable E-Tank in the game. Because if you are sequence breaking at all, skipping Crocomire is probably the best thing you can do in your Super Metroid career. Learning how to skip Crocomire and the Grappling Beam is kind of one of the first major steps in getting good at this game. And this is the only E-Tank hitting behind Crocomire. So I could see a very new player who's learning how to sequence break stuff getting all of the other E-Tanks because they need them to fight Ridley and get through Torian, but not getting this one because they can't access it without going through Crocomire. But an E-Tank is still an E-Tank. Where is... I placed all the other E-Tanks here. And I placed the Meridia Reserve Tank in the bottom of C tier. I'm going to put this in the top of C tier, I think. Because... No, you know what? B tier is more appropriate. Because if you're not sequence breaking, this is actually a very important E-Tank to get. After getting the Grappling Beam and coming back up from Crocomire, this is kind of your big prize at the end. I think bottom B tier is good for... Yeah, bottom B tier. You know what? Killing Crocomire with charged plasma is more fun than backtracking through the wrecked ship to get this stupid one. And it probably takes... What do you think? No, it doesn't take less time than getting this Mama Turtle tank. I think B tier is probably an appropriate spot for it. I'm just going to leave it there. There's some more power bombs down there in the area as well. I'm going to value these power bombs a little higher than other ones because this could be the first set of power bombs you get in the game. If you already have the Ice Beam when you come down to fight Crocomire, if you come down to this area, you can freeze an enemy and get these power bombs very, very easily. To the point where I've actually met Super Metroid players who think these are the first set of power bombs you're supposed to get in the game. If you don't get this set of power bombs now, what you're intended to do is climb up the red Brinstar shaft and collect that set of power bombs. So this is a pretty valuable set of power bombs. I think B tier is a good spot for these ones as well. And kind of for the same reason as this E-Tank, because a new player learning the game are going to value these power bombs pretty highly. Whereas I wouldn't come down here at all. I'm going to place it above the E-Tank in the wrecked ship because I just don't like it at all. Also in this area there is another missile set. This is down in like an acid room way at the bottom of the Crocomire area of Norfair. Way off the critical path. They're just nowhere near anywhere you want to be. Even if you're going to go get the Grappling Beam and everything, you've got the same problem of you probably already have 50 or 60 missiles. Why do you need more? Slightly easier to grab if you are doing this area than the other two missile packs in this area, so I guess I'll put them there in the F tier. There's another set of missiles up above the Grappling Beam. You can either Shine Spark up there, or Space Jump, or grapple across the roof. They're kind of as tricky to reach as the set that I just placed. They're not really out of the way. If you're down here anyway and you want the Grappling Beam, I'm going to put them just behind the other set I just placed, though. To get this first set, you just have to run through an acid room. To get this set, you either have to Shine Spark up, or grapple across, or already have the Space Jump. Like, one of those things has to be true. Next, we have the Grappling Beam. Way too late in the game to have the Grappling Beam, but here it is. I'm going to value the Grappling Beam pretty highly. The Grappling Beam, if you don't know how to sequence break, obviously it's a required item. You need to take it to enter the wrecked ship. If you do know how to sequence break, you still might want to grab it, and it's definitely very valuable to have in randomizers, because you can grab pickups from across the room with the Grappling Beam. And there are lots and lots of places where that's a very, very useful feature to have. It's also used to trivialize the Dragon fight. If you don't learn the Dragon fight, there is a kill you can do with the Grappling Beam, a scripted kill that's actually a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to say the Grappling Beam... I'm going to place it just under the X-ray scope, I think, in the S tier, in terms of how much I like just the unique items in the game. So just ahead of the Spazer, I think. Let me think about that for just a second now that I've said it out loud. Do I value these 3 items, unique items, over the Spacer's ability to be a wide beam shot early in the game? You know what? I think if I had to, like in a randomizer, if I had to choose between the Grappling Beam and the Spacer, I think the Grappling Beam is probably stronger, actually. I think I would just kill monsters with the Grappling Beam. Yeah, I think that's a fair placement for Grappling Beam. In fact, now that I've said that, I'm going to move it up above the X-ray scope, because if you have the Grappling Beam, the X-ray scope is trivial to collect. Okay, now we've gone down the elevator into Lower Norfair, on our way to Ridley. In the Gold Chorizo room, we have another very aggravating set of missiles. This is the set of missiles that's just there. It's like a trap, and you run over to get them, and the crumble blocks break underneath you, and you fall down into the Gold Chorizo room. The jump required to actually get across and collect the missiles, I still miss it like 5% of the time, because it's a very low jump, but if you don't get a wide enough jump, you won't make it to the missiles. But the jump is so low that getting 2 space jumps across is non-trivial. So if you do fall down in the room, congratulations, you're going to fight the Gold Chorizo and backtrack through the first area of Lower Norfair again. No sir, I don't like it. It is right on the critical path, I guess. Yeah, I can't, in good conscience, put them below anything from the Crocomire area, or the sand pits or anything, I guess. This has got to be an appropriate place for it, I suppose. It is right on the critical path. The other missiles in this room are a set of super missiles. This is an S-tier set of super missiles for sure, because they're free, actually. In fact, even like if you're a speedrunner and you're very quick, you can grab these super missiles before Gold Chorizo is done with its like warm-up animation, even. So it's kind of a free set. So yeah, we're definitely going to value these super missiles at least as highly as the easy ones in the wrecked ship, and then probably more than this kind of triumvirate of middlingly useful unique items. The unique items that I like but have some kind of caveats about. Yeah, great set of supers. Glad these exist. The next item is the Screw Attack, and I think we're going to place this one from the top down. You can't put it ahead of Morph Ball and Bombs, for sure. Would I take Screw Attack over Gravity? I wouldn't, but I would complain about it. I probably would take Screw Attack over Plasma, though. And here's why. In a randomizer run, the Screw Attack is the best item you can get. It breaks a lot of blocks, it can be in your logic, it can open things up for you, and it can kill almost every enemy in the game world. Plasma cannot open blocks for you. It's not going to be in your logic, except in a very weird, like, one-off side events. Neither of these weapons can hit bosses unless you find the Charge Beam. So Screw Attack is the better offensive item to grab. If I already had the Charge Beam, I might pick up Plasma first, but no, Screw Attack is just that good. I think that's fair to say. I actually recently had a correspondent who was like, hey man, I got 99%, what missiles am I missing? I said, Mama Turtle Wall. And he said, no, I got those ones. And I said, Mickey Mouse Room. He said, what? What's the Mickey Mouse Room? These are the Mickey Mouse Room missiles. These are way off the beaten path in Lower Norfair. They're in just this absolute garbage fire of a trap room where if you don't stand on exactly the right blocks in exactly the right sequence to get these missiles and then get up and out, you're just going to fall into this horrible shaft that you're going to lose a whole bunch of health, and then you're going to be trapped in the wrong side of Lower Norfair and have to go all the way around again. Is it worse than falling into a sand pit? No, because I know how to do it, so I'm not going to get caught by the trap, but I'm still, it's still way out of the way. Like, this is even more out of the way than these horrible ceiling ones. And this sand pit's only here because there's a reserve tank nearby. Yeah, you know what? I think that's fairly placed. I'm actually a little surprised that Mickey Mouse missiles are not the worst missiles in the game, honestly. The next set of power bombs are called the Power Bombs of Shame. I don't know why they're called that. Speedrunners name things in weird ways. And I just don't value power bombs anymore. Where have we been putting the power bombs that we just don't need to pick up at this stage of the game? Are we putting them here in C tier? Looks like we might have been putting them in C tier. The good thing about these power bombs is they're on the critical path. It's just there's no reason to have 5 more power bombs here. I almost think we've got to put these in D tier. Actually, at this late in the game, do you really need more power bombs? No, not really. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put these in the D tier behind the missiles that are kind of hanging out with super missiles, if that makes sense. Because these missiles, you might as well pick them up because there are supers right next door. These power bombs, you don't need these. Ridley's E-Tank. I almost never skip this item. I don't know why you would, unless you're a speedrunner and you're to the point in your speedrunning career where saving the 3 seconds is really going to make or break you. Yeah, this is going to help you get out of Lower Norfair after the grueling Ridley fight, and one of the more valuable E-Tanks, not because of the 100 energy, but because of the full health refill it gives you. I'm going to say this is an S tier item. I'm going to put it behind the Crystal Flash power bombs. Or I'm ahead of them, rather. I think this item is more valuable than the Grappling Beam. I don't think it's more valuable than the super missiles, though, because you need the super missiles to kill Ridley, actually. Do I want to move these super missiles up even more? No, I think I'll leave them under the space jump. Well, I don't know, because it's +5 super missiles, guaranteed drop at a point where you're going to need a lot for Ridley. Yeah, you know what? I'm willing to move these up. How high am I willing to move them up? Because these 5 super missiles always end up inside of Ridley. No, I'm not willing to move them up, because if I had to move them up, I'd be moving above space jump, and that's just not right. This is the last energy tank. This is the one in the dark room in Lower Norfair as you're coming out of Lower Norfair, either after beating Ridley or you have failed to find Ridley on your first playthrough of the game and you think you're still on the way to Ridley. This E-Tank, you only pick it up if you're doing a 100% run. I'm not willing to put an E-Tank below... I said I wasn't willing to put one below A tier, but then I did put a bunch in B tier, didn't I? Yeah. You know what? You are going through this room anyway, and it's at the end of the game. You could take a quick 10-second diversion down to pick it up. You might as well. It's not as out of the way as some of the other E-Tanks in this general area. In fact, it's probably better than the blue Brinstar one, and it's probably better than the Waterway as well. I think that's fair to say. After that, we're really down to the dregs. These are some missiles that are just out in the open in the escape of Lower Norfair. They're like one screen off the critical path. It's kind of fine, whatever. But where are my critical path missiles? Like these Dragon missiles, they're pretty much the same exact concept as the Dragon missiles. Behind those missiles is a secret path that leads to some power bombs. These are just way out of the way. You wouldn't ever need to pick these up for any particular reason. They're definitely worse than the power bombs of shame because these are right in your way. What else is in this vicinity here? Like the Dragon missiles. Like, yeah, these power bombs are probably... Yeah, you know what? That's fine. These power bombs behind these missiles, that's how they're placed geographically in the game. So, and then finally, there is a hidden tunnel in Lower Norfair, right near the exit, where some missiles are hidden in an acid chamber. They're only one screen out of the way, so they're not super far off the beaten path. So there's no reason to place these as low as some of these other ones. I think we put them about here. Because you go a little bit out of your way through a little tunnel area to get some power bombs versus going a little way out of your way through a little tunnel area to get some missiles at the 99% stage in the game. And that's it. That's all 100 items ranked in Super Metroid, from the best possible item to find in the game, the Morph Ball, which is so useful that
literally randomizer runs can't work until you find this item. It's always going to be one of the first items you get in a randomizer. It's always the first item you get in any sort of regular run in Super Metroid. You can't do anything without this item, and it's literally the start of the critical path. And the worst item in the game being sandpit missiles. I hate these sand pits. I don't want to go through them. And that's it. That's all 100 items rated. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have an idea of other things that I should rank, please leave them down in the doobly-doo. Or if you just want to yell obscenities at me because you think I got something in this list wrong, you can feel free to scroll down and yell at me in the doobly-doo. Basically, just go down there and mess up my doobly-doo, fam.